So Dr. Eddie, you're going to do all Q&A today. That's
Not
exciting.
really.
Oh,
Not really.
did you come up with something else?
I did.
I
Actually,
knew it. So he emailed me like an hour ago and said, we're going to do all Q&A. And I thought, I wonder if he'll actually be able to do that or if he'll have a topic. So I actually, I got your number. So what you got for us?
well, and I'm just gonna give you a little bit of a sneak preview of it. I'll
Okay.
talk more. This will probably be more of the topic for next month. You guys are welcome. Thank you for being here. We always enjoy having you here with us, and hopefully, by the end of the end of this webinar, you guys will have walked away with something and learned something along there. So, we talked last time, if you remember, Tam, we talked a lot about anxiety. I've been on this anxiety kick because I really believe that with the addictive brain, anxiety is a major driver, which lead to compulsiveness, which lead to poor decision making along the way. Well, if you take that further, and again, I'm going to keep it very brief and very top line, and the autonomic nervous system, okay, that's our nervous system, runs from here, the eyes, all the way down into the gut. Okay, it is everywhere. When we think about our nervous system, it is responsible for run through many different organs that we have. Autonomic nervous system, that's what it is called. And there's three components to it. Okay, the ventral, which is VENTRAL, so instead of central, ventral, vagal system, VAGAL system, that's homeostasis. That's calm. That's where Tammy is right now. She's calm. She's right
I
there.
am.
Yeah, okay. That's where we would love to be. Where we'd love to live our lives. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. Something activates the autonomic nervous system and we're off to the races. And so think of it in tiers, okay? We have the ventral vagal system. The next tier, there's three. The next tier is the parasympathetic nervous system. And basically what that is, because now we've been activated, we feel something going on, we're becoming anxious, and that becomes our fight flight response. So we could become more aggressive in trying to tackle that threat that we see, or wanting to avoid the conflict and walk away from it and not deal with it at all. So we become in there. And then the last one is the dorsal, DORSAL vagal system. And what that is, that's when we freeze or disconnect. Okay, we shut down, walk away, sometimes dissociate if we're going very, very deep with all of that. So you probably wonder, so why are you walking us through all of these? Because where you folks are, whether you are the betrayed or the betrayer, this process is going on quite a bit. Quite a bit. Where you keep moving from stage to stage, maybe sometimes feeling some sort of appease, but then moving into the idea of, oh my gosh, kind of panic. What do I do? Do I get aggressive? Do I fight it? Or do I withdraw and deal with it? And we see guys who just start to wilt at that moment, right? Or from an aggressive standpoint, explaining, trying to be defensive in what they're doing there. That's what's happening at that point. And then finally, we get to a point where it's like, okay, the dorsal system, and now they're shutting down. There's nothing to give at that point. We look at it from the betrayed side, okay, move into that parasympathetic nervous system. And there, what's going on? Well, that is when now being more aggressive, being very, anxious about things, being sometimes contemptuous in what you're saying. But again, it's because of pain. The nervous system is out of whack. It's out of whack. talking to somebody today, and he was saying that, his wife at one point, she said to him, you're just like a retard. And he goes, I got just so offended.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know what? I go, I understand you wanting to feel offense, but once again, that is you in that system, the parasympathetic nervous system, where you're not looking outward to say, oh my gosh, she is hurting so much today. And that language is so contemptuous, but you know what? Got to give her grace. Got to give her grace right now, because that's where she is. Now, again, if it continues and it goes on and on and on, then it's like, whoa, sorry, you know what? I can't sit here and listen to this. I'm walking away. You want to talk to me in a better way, then I will be here, okay? Because we're not putting up with that kind of abuse. But at the beginning, if you get one of those, like, let me see. So you can see how this all plays together. And what I'm going to walk you through next week is, so where does the inner child fit within all of this? And how can we use that inner child to be able to intercept us from leaving the ventral system and moving down into the other areas of the nervous system? Instead, be able to stop. No, I'm not. Another word for this, regulation. How can you regulate yourself better? And that's what we're going to be talking about next time, regulation. But I think it's very important for you to understand, and we'll put some diagrams up there next time too, to help them to get a better understanding of it. But I think it's better once you understand what's going on, that you're moving down this system and you're hitting rock bottom here. And we don't want that. We need to be able to stay here, and then maybe you just fluctuate somewhat. And then what can you do to do that? That's what I got for you today, Tammy.
That's great. And we'll look forward to the next one with the diagrams and everything, but you're exactly right. And being able to intervene on that so that we don't, just go completely dorsal, and we can remain intentional and engaged. That's how we start to shift things. So
That's
great.
interesting. We may create a whole little thing like, hey, don't go dorsal on me, okay?
There you go.
I can do t-shirts and all of that. Leave me
Or
alone.
I'm going dorsal
today.
I'm going dorsal. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, we'll get shirts and we'll wear them next time. Okay. So from last month, the first question is, my SA husband faked recovery for 2 years and did not disclose all of their acting out history before the D-Day. I feel so much angrier, less understanding, less logical. I don't see a way out of this anger towards them. How do partners move forward with such a betrayal after initial D-Day?
Well, and you have every right to be angry. You have every right to be hurt and frustrated. The big question is, what's happening now? Okay. Has he changed? If he being more honest, not more, if he being completely honest and transparent? Do you see him doing the work that he needs to do? Because if not, see, this is where we were just talking about the autonomic nervous system, and you've gotten stuck in the parasympathetic nervous system, where again, just that fight, flight, anger, all of that. And then I wonder, are you seeing what he may be doing that is different? Because you're so focused on what he did to hurt you there. But if he different, so if he made those adjustments, if he changed, then I think that's where it becomes you learning to shift away. And that means grieving. I'm not saying forget about what he did, at that point, but also, again, that idea of grace, that, he didn't disclose, he probably didn't disclose because, again, he was afraid of it, not a reason. That's not a rational reason for it. He's supposed to be a man and do that, but he didn't. So therefore, the question becomes again, and you guys hear me say this a lot, what are you here for? What do you want? Do you want a new relationship? You want to move on? Well, then find a way to grieve what he's done to you to hurt you, but also see the changes, that he is different and that he is no longer acting that way. He is being honest and transparent. And how can you start to slowly re-engage with one another? Because if not, like I said, today's another day off the calendar, just another day gone of life. So again, what do you want? Do you want to move forward? Do you want to get to the other side? Or do you want to stay where you are? But again, that's depending on what he has been doing. So
Yeah, and I was thinking, yes, lean into your support for betrayed partners, you know, your tribe, your posse, your team, whatever, about this. Unfortunately, this is not uncommon. We had a gentleman a while back that came to us that had picked up a 4-year chip at 12-step, you know, and was like Mr. 12-step with lip service, but you know, he had never really gotten, you know, any kind of recovery. So, and the other thing I was thinking is really pay attention to his actions, because with real recovery, you know, you become, as Dr. Eddie says, the new man. You know, you shift and change. Those act like you show up differently. And if you're faking recovery, it's lip service, but you're not really, you know, shifting and changing. So creating a safety for you, like obviously, you know, don't trust words, trust actions, and you know, and see. But I hope, you know, that now there has been this new awakening and new discovery, you know, that he is going, I really need help, and is leaning into the resources so that he can change and he can really be on a recovery path.
yeah, and you just brought up something that I really do want to address also. The new guy, you're right. That's what I've been out there and I've been talking about it and such. But yet, I think what I've done with that concept is I've misrepresented what your expectations should be. I'm not sure any of them become completely the new guy. And I think it's more about transformation. And transformation is just this ongoing process that we have. Hopefully you see many changes along the way, and hopefully those changes stick, and that he is hungry to continue to grow, to seek more and more. But I think I'm moving away from the new guy terminology, because again, I think one, it puts a lot of undue pressure on the betrayer, and two, I think it put the wrong expectations, because I think what it does, it kind of almost sets you up that you're looking for perfection. You're looking for this guy who's flawless. Not going to be flawless. You're looking at a guy who's not flawless. Okay, we are going to make mistakes, as long as I'm not making mistakes in a way that make my wife not feel safe. Okay, there's no room for mistakes. There's no room when it comes to that. Everything needs to be to ensure safety. Well, you can make other mistakes. I make other mistakes along the way. So anyway, thank you for bringing that up, because it's just a point I need to continue to address along the way.
And I appreciate that, and I agree, and I can hear your point of view with that, with you know, setting the wrong expectation, or setting an expectation that isn't really attainable. You know, we talk about when people come to treatment, you know, like sometimes they think, or partners think, that they're going to be magically all fixed, and that is not. They're going to have a foundation, and they're going to have the support and a plan to be successful with it. But you know, this is a lifelong journey. Like there is, you know, I'm a person in recovery for quite a while, and you know what, I don't rest on my laurels or pretend now I got this. You know, I was just emailing with somebody the other day, and they were like, you know, he's back down on his meetings, he's done, you know, and he says, I don't really need to work a program because I get it. And I'm like, well, that sounds, you know, like you need to, as a betrayed partner, you need to take care of yourself and be prepared, because I see not good things in the
And when
future,
you
you
think
know.
that idea, I get it. You know what? I don't get it all. Okay. I mean, look at what I just came up with when I talked about how I could put that inner child in the system there. Okay. I continue to look for self-reflection, and most of it is based on the actions or inactions of my clients. Okay. I see what happened and I go, ooh, okay, that's not good at all. And all right, but what drove all of that? And even with me, I'm still doing my own self-reflection. I mean, so I don't got it. Nobody got it, because we are all vulnerable. Everyone is vulnerable, because again, if you allow it, and Tammy and I were talking about this just before, we're talking about anxiety, and we're talking about how if you do not catch it, and she's catching things, she was very happy. She was going through some major anxiety and she caught herself and realized, you know what, I need to buy a hula hoop. She can explain that to you. Okay. But that, she understand the hula hoop was, this is what I control. I control what's ever in. And that was able to bring her back to homeostasis. Most people don't do that. Instead, whatever's troubling them, they just ignore it or not aware of it. And then something else happens, and it builds, and it builds, and it builds. And now all of a sudden you found yourself way down in the part of the nervous system that is just ready to erupt. So no, we don't got it. Nobody got it. We may have a lot of knowledge, we may have a lot of insight, may have hopefully a lot of wisdom along the way. But if you think that, you know what, I don't need this, I don't need the people, I don't need the community, I don't need the resources, I don't need to continue to study, you are being very narrow-minded. So
narrow-minded, but setting yourself up for, I think
absolutely.
it's a crash and burn. I think inevitable, and
Yeah.
like, I don't want to be on that path. So I'm completely willing to do what I need to do today in order to not do that. All I got to do is take care of it today. That's all.
I have a client who relapsed over 2 years sober. Relapsed. Why? Because of all the tension, all the anxiety. Who'd you reach out to? Nobody. What did you do about your anxiety? Nothing. Oh, so it's just going to magically go away. No, it's not going to magically go away. And at some point, when he's trying to go down, doing some like work and all, before you know it, he's going down a rabbit hole. And oh, that looks harmless. And then it's not harmless anymore. Not. Tammy says it all the time. Lifelong journey for both of you. Okay, both of you. This is a lifelong journey. That doesn't mean you have to be stuck in the quagmire of it. Doesn't mean you have to be in the cesspool all the time. You could pull yourself out of it. But as I told you, it's over here. It's part of your life. It's part of your history. Part of it, you can keep it out of sight, put it over here, so it's not in your main line, but you can never let it go. You can never forget it. And you have to be able to make sure that you are taking all the steps necessary to keep yourself one step ahead of the addictive brain. Yeah.
Well, and you said you can pull yourself out of it. Or, you know what, there's lots, all I have to do is reach out to somebody else, and there's a lifeline for somebody else. I don't even have to pull myself out. Somebody else can help me,
Well, but
and
Tammy, see, I look at it and I say, once you pick up that phone, you've started pulling.
yeah.
Okay.
And
You're
fair.
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
People don't understand this. I don't get it. It is the fact that it works. It works. How many times you hear this? That, you know what, I'm troubled, I'm hurting, I'm tempted, I'm whatever, and pick up the phone, and all of a sudden you're in a different world. It doesn't look anything like it did before you picked up that phone. Because you know why? Because you're just dealing with what's in between your ears, and you're stuck in your own head, and you have all your negative thoughts and thinking, and therefore what it's also doing with your kid is saying, it's never getting better. it's always going to be like this. You know, what are we doing? We kidding ourselves? You don't hear those thoughts, but that's where he is. And he's like, you know what? I'm sorry. I need comfort. I need to run away. Oh, there, go. And you go. And then after you're done, you're like, what in the world did I do? 2 years gone. It happened that easy.
Yeah, I
And
said
and
addiction
I'm
is
just
the
not saying, I
only.
don't want to also be scaring people who've
No.
been, okay. That's not, a lot of guys, they stay sober along the way, but it takes effort. That doesn't mean they have to be glued to books every night. Doesn't mean they have to go to 7 meetings a week. That doesn't mean, it doesn't mean any of that. All right. It just means they do need to have some aspect of recovery in their lives. So.
Well, and I think, you know, in the 12 step, the 10 step is taking, you know, an inventory every day. And I honestly do that. I'm paying attention to what's going on for me, you know, because if I don't, guess what, you know, that addict is right here. But I think it's one of those things where, you know, addiction, whatever form it takes, it's one of those where it's going really well. I'm doing all the recovery work. So I'm going to stop. That worked really good. So I'm going to stop. And then things go really bad. And I'm clueless as to how did that happen? Well, I stopped doing all the things that worked really well for me. To me, the easier thing is just keep doing the things that are working really well.
Right. I mean, it's like, you know, you work out every day and it's like, oh, I feel so much better. I think I'll stop. It doesn't make any sense. I'll tell you something else that I've started changing my thinking about is 12 steps. I'm really buying more and more into the whole 12-step experience for people. I really do think there's a lot of value, and I've actually been, you know, moving a lot of my clients into that, doing that type of work. And I know people will be like, well, I've been 5 years, I've been, you know, still go back and do 12-step work. So you're going to, again, insight, never stop that hunger for learning about you and what makes you think, feel, and do the things you do.
So there was a period of time in my recovery journey. I think it was after I was like 15 years, doesn't matter, but I took a couple of years and I was very involved in other organizations and good things. And I didn't go to 12 step. And then I was like, I want to go back to 12 step. And I thought, never again am I going to take a break. You know, did I relapse or whatever? But no, I missed that. I missed the positive stuff that was coming in. I missed paying attention to people who, you know, had gone back out or were just newcomers, you know, like all of those things. So there's so much. So I was like, I missed out, you know, and yeah. So, and like with the S groups, you know, there are so many different ones. We've got a list on our website of the different options, and they all have a little different flavor to them. So finding the right fit, you know, it isn't like, well, they don't work for me, and keep checking them out. You know, find what does work for you.
We're doing really well. We've answered one question. It's almost one.
I know, and we've got 10, and we've got one. So we're gonna keep. We're actually going to keep going because otherwise we're going to have a whole bunch more for next time.
We're giving you depth versus quantity. Okay.
There you go. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So can you speak to the stage of recovery someone is at when watching porn has stopped and some level of recovery work is happening, but he is still scanning the room for eyes, hair, smiles, etc. If I am correct, these behaviors are objectifying and provide some sort of emotional comfort or stimulation he is looking for, even if he never acts out sexually. What does the next stage of recovery look like for this person? I think you just touched on this, but there is more insight you still have. Of course, there's more insight you have.
You know, that's a good question. I have talked about this before in the past. There's a lot of this, again, it's not black and white. Okay, there's a lot of gray that goes on here. I am of the belief, you folks know this, that a lot of times when a guy looking, okay, he's really, sometimes he's just observing. So I see, I turn back, we're okay. However, sometimes they look and they see, and it's not so much from a sexual standpoint, more about what Jenna's saying here. It's emotional comfort seeking. Goes back to Omago, OMAGA, or E GA, which again, this concept of having this imprint of a person that brings a great deal of comfort to you. And I think I shared with you guys, maybe I did, I don't know if I did, I found my imago, years ago, and that's women with bangs. Women who have bangs, they jump out. Doesn't matter what they look like, anything like that, they don't have to be attractive. They jump out. And the reason they jump out is because there's something soothing and comforting. And from a boy who grew up in a house with 3 women who all had bangs. So therefore I may look and be taking that second look just because it's there, but then again, bring myself back and do it. So what is the stage of recovery? The other reason I think guys sometimes are looking is because they are drained mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and the brain is screaming for stimulation. I think that's one of the biggest issues when a guy's out there and having a hard time controlling his eyes. And even when you're in recovery, and again, you start looking and it's like, oh, there's a person in a bikini on that website. Instead of just turning away from it, it is being drained in one of those areas. Said brain is screaming, stimulation, please. So therefore, that's why I talk about we need to, in recovery, throughout the day, how am I doing mentally? How am I doing physically? How am I doing emotionally? How am I doing spiritually? Am I replenished? And if I'm not, I need to go seek something. So that's really what you want to be doing for a person when it comes to that part of recovery.
So let's get to the new questions.
Okay.
I was at Seeking Integrity earlier this year. My wife and I are repairing our relationship. Do you have recommendations for reading material to help our recovery?
Oh, for repairing your relationship. This is coupleship we're talking about, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading.
Yeah,
We're working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't work with couples. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend. I guarantee there's a couple books back here about this, but that's not the area I work on. I don't work on reconciliation. I work on helping people to get to the core of the problem, and then how does a guy work to make sure he's emotionally developed. But I don't do this work, so I don't know. Tammy, what about you? You have
Well, I'm going to suggest join when Matt Wheeler is doing the Friday afternoon webinar, because he works not exclusively with couples, but he works often with couples. I also think ask your individual therapists about what they recommend for the two of you, because they'll know the two of you, and the resources may be helpful if so. And if you are past formal therapeutic disclosure, it may be time to get a couples therapist or work with your 2 therapists to do some couples work. So my biggest thing is do the work that you need to do as an individual, do the Thanos, communication, be doing the things that will help your connection and communication. Communicating with your words and actions is, that's so different for us addicts. So it's doing that differently.
Also, I think it's, not really doing this work alone. I really think doing it with a qualified therapist who fully understands the ins and outs, because you're going to hit a lot of potholes along the way when you're trying to start to reconnect. And remember, you're not going back to where you were. You're trying to go somewhere else. You're going to a new place with new dreams, new expectations for one another. So I would be making sure you're looking at, somebody, as Tammy said, who done this type of work, who can guide you in the right direction. Because again, books are, as we say all the time, books are great. Okay. I think my books are strong, but you know what? You're not going to heal reading a book.
Well, and to that point, like you have online work groups, and so yes, it's different reading going deeper than doing a work group, with you going deeper, because somebody will say something or you'll say something and you'll go, oh, I hadn't thought of that. I always say if addicts could read a book, we'd read a book and we'd be magically fixed. That isn't the case. And lots of people know whys and all of those things and still keep acting out. So it really is, connecting and, processing through. And, I've got, you were talking about reaching out, like even if it's text. I've got several people who are struggling with things, and we're communicating and sharing and supporting each other. That's how and we both both of us benefit from it. Whether I'm sharing the positive affirmations or whatever it is, we're both benefiting from it. So connecting with other people that are doing this. Oh, one more thing, I have a great idea. I didn't think of this till just now. The Couples Healing from Betrayal work group starts in September. We only offer that twice a year, and Dr. Susie LeBrock offers that. It is great. We always get positive comments on that. So it's on the Seeking Integrity site. I can't remember the date. I'll look it up in a minute, but I think it starts around the 21st of September. But like I said, we only offer that twice a year. So that would be an opportunity and timely right now.
That is a great idea. I love that.
Okay, next question. SA husband recently visited his dying mother. He thought he received closure from her. She said she has no regrets. He initially felt free and had closure. We are now noticing regressive behavior from him, childlike. We think he was actually re-traumatized. Can you talk about the mother wound and how it affects a man and adds to his addiction?
Yeah, well, first, let's talk about him and what happened there. What's happening is he's grieving now. He's going through grief, and with that grief, yes, you may see those types of behaviors. He needs to be, hopefully, with a therapist, and he is walking through the mother wound with his therapist. Mother wounds and father wounds, okay, two of the biggest issues you see when it comes to addiction. Not in everybody, but a large percentage of people. There are issues on both sides of that, and it is a very common problem, and it has to be explored. And this is part of the problem. Those who are dealing with the addiction don't want to touch that. They don't want to touch it. And for many reasons. One, because it may be too painful. More importantly, for some, I don't want to vilify my mother or my father. And, counselors need to be able to navigate through that to get them there. For me, the approach I say is, look, you know what? I understand what you're saying. I get it. However, if you want to really have full healing, you need to let me take her or him or both of them and throw them under the bus. I have to be able to throw them under the bus for a short period of time, and then I will pull them out. We will clean them off. I will put them back up on their pedestal there, and then you can figure out how you want to relate with that. But it's something that needs to be done. That's the biggest issue I see, is people just don't want to go there. But what he's really going through right now, he's grieving. And in that grieving, you're seeing, again, the aggressive types of behavior. He needs to be walking through all of that with his therapist.
Yeah, I was caught by the she has no regrets.
Yeah, I don't know what that meant there.
I was like, to me, it's like, how does he feel? Like, he may be going, you didn't show up for me or whatever it is, so even if she's got no regrets, that, that almost would be irrelevant to me. So, but yes, I hope he does work with his qualified professional, on that those are challenging things to go through. And when there's addiction and, the wounding in the mix, it's, there's extra layers. So. Okay, next question. Betrayed partner here. My partner and I are several months post-disclosure. Things have improved tremendously and our connection has deepened. He just had his first slip relapse and has recommitted to his recovery. I feel so disconnected though. How do I start to open up again while maintaining respect for myself and remaining in this space with him after he spent time online searching sex workers? He is working with his therapist to determine his triggers and is attending groups and establishing a larger support network. I believe he doesn't want to act out in these ways, but he feels like he will never be safe and will always be a looming monster in the dark.
Well, that's one problem. That shame has to be addressed. Counselor should be really working on that to understand it. Two, it is not a slip. He relapsed. I mean, you're online, you're doing a search for sex workers. that is again, his addictive brain just off the chart there. So let's make sure that we define it and call it for what it is. Yes, you are hurting here. You were several months post disclosure, and that your connection was deepening. And that a little concerning, because I wonder if you jumped into the deep end of the pool too soon versus allowing him to continue to do the work he needs to do, which again, we see he's got a lot of work to do. He'll have more. So I think for you, it has to be slow everything down. Okay. Take a step back, observe, see how committed he is to doing his work, because this last part you put in, where this idea that, he feels that, I'll never be safe, I'm always going to be this monster, that can lead to many relapses along the way. That has to be fixed. That has to be fixed, and he has to address that with his therapist so they can start to remove the shame and understand, you know what? You're broken. I'm broken. We are. We have this addictive brain, but we can manage it. We can control it. We can. And there are many people out there that they demonstrate that. And that's what, even with 12 steps, and you look at, the different books, the blue book, the white book, the green book, and there's the stories that are in there that talk to you about the success that people have had. And he needs to see more of that. So if he's not doing 12 steps, that's something he may want to consider. But right now, I think you should not be looking to dive back in and reconnect so quickly, because I think you just made yourself a little bit too vulnerable. So, and again, I'm not putting blame on you. It was his fault for what happened.
Yeah, and I like, if he's giving lip service to recommitting to his recovery, it'd be like Dr. Eddie just said, what is he doing on a daily basis? And we said earlier, this is a lifelong process. So to to jump in early, most partners, and this is just a guideline, there's no magic but it's usually about 18 months of post discovery and everything. And you say post disclosure, and I'm hoping that's a formal therapeutic disclosure, so that you are, it wasn't just he told you stuff, and now we're all better and we're going to move. Like, this is, like, I talk to partners all the time, and you probably never will trust him 100% again, because he can hurt you. So understanding that, but if he's doing the work and he's showing up differently, you will start to feel that, and you will see, and you can have a more honest, you can have a more integrated relationship than you ever had before. But again, I agree with Dr. Eddie, like, slow it all down. He's got a lot of work to do, and it's really up to him, but I hope you are leaning into the betrayed partner. We have a betrayed partner drop-in group at 12:30 today. I hope you're joining those. There's another one tomorrow. There's lots of resources for you during this time as well. Okay. So important topic. Actually, I did a course of 21 days into the NS to learn to support the body and let it feel safe again by specific exercises with ventral needs support. Freeze is a shutdown trauma response and needs safety. Sometimes it takes hours to calm down the body, and I get anxiety attacks in the night, and it won't let me sleep. But indeed, I regulate myself now. But I'm so angry that this person in deep betrayal got me in this position, and he bailed on me. Suggestions on how to overcome this?
Okay, so one, I'm really glad that you've done some research and some work on the nervous system. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. You're right, the ventral system needs support also. You can't stay in homeostasis unless you're feeding that in a good way. So you're absolutely right about that. So the question here, though, for me is, as you say, I'm so angry that the person, and the deep betrayal got me into this position, and he bailed on me. Are you planning on staying here? It sounds like he still has a great stronghold on you. it sounds like you are allowing him to empower you versus understanding, no, you know what? Yeah, he hurt me. And when you say he bailed on you, I guess that maybe he left or whatever. But you know what? You have the rest of your life to live. You have opportunities to heal and to someday love again, perhaps. But this right here, this is what you need to work on with your therapist, right? That he, because again, this idea that he's keeping me here, you keep yourself there. You do. And therefore, again, and I'm not trying to make it that simple. It's not that black and white. You need to continue to do more work with the nervous system. You need to continue to do more things with it so that you can learn to better regulate yourself. And even again, like you said, you get these anxiety attacks in the night that won't let you sleep. But again, got to be able to step out of it, to go and find what is the approaches I'm going to take to regulate myself so I can try to get back to bed. Sometimes it can take minutes. Sometimes you're right. It may take a couple hours to do it. But the more and more you do it, all right, the more and more desensitized you become to the betrayal and the pain, the quicker you turn it around. So again, I'm sorry for what you've gone through. I'm sorry for that hurt. I love the fact that you've started to do work there. I would continue to do work there. And again, understand it sometimes takes time, but do not yield your power to him. Do not.
So there's an addition. I even get inflammation in the body and brain, and recovery of this even very difficult. It takes a long time and lifestyle changes. It's so unfair.
Yeah. Well, and again, here you are talking about what goes on here, because the amount of cortisol being produced in your body is producing inflammation, which is damaging. Okay. And again, the idea that it does take a long time to do it, I get it. I understand. That's why they call it trauma. But there is hope. There is hope. If you continue to do the work, why should I have to do the damn work? He did this. I didn't do this. Why am I doing it? Because it's your life, it's your body, it's your brain, and you owe it to yourself to protect all of it. I mean, yes, I get it. Nobody wants to go and sit in that therapist office. Nobody wants to sit there and go through EMDR sessions or brain body or whatever it is that you do. But it's for you. It's for you. You've already taken the first steps. Continue. Please, just continue. It will get better. It will get better.
So the next question is, if it is a lifelong journey, does it mean that I can be safe? Or will there forever be the looming risk of it happening again? I suspect this is from the betrayed partner standpoint, but I'm not 100% safe. Sure, right?
Right.
Okay.
It is from the betrayed partner. And this is whenever we talk about the idea that, a lifelong, journey that we're on, the fact that you have to be diligent. Yes, you can be safe. You can feel safe if that is his number one objective. That's the number one objective of the betrayer for the rest of his life. I make her feel safe in everything I do. Okay. I think if my wife were to come in here and talk to you and you asked her the question, how safe does he make you feel? I'm pretty sure she's going to say always. Because I do. And that's why? Because again, I remember, how will this action or inaction impact Terry? And I make sure I run things by her, little things sometimes. Like I said, sometimes you say, why are you bothering me with this? And go, because I just want to make sure. Just want to make sure. Hey, I'm heading out. I'm going here. I'm going there, blah, blah, blah. I make sure I know what my mission is when I go out, And that's what it is. So yes, if he's doing that, if that's his commitment, yes, you can. If you're seeing him take those actions, like for example, you go to a restaurant, he sits down, there's all these women sitting over here, he says, hey, change seat with me. You know, hey, this is a guy who's looking out after me. Okay. Right. We actually went and saw a local theater here, and we saw man, I'm getting so old. It's crazy how old I'm getting. Rock of Ages.
Oh, so fun. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's fun, but there's some really risque parts of it. And I'm sitting there and this stuff is on, and I actually just kind of just put my head like this, because I'm like I'm not even interested in this thing. It's not like, oh, I have to look away because I'm getting triggered. I'm looking away because I'm really like, do we need this here? Can we do something else here? And like after the play was over, you know, Terry was like, what do you think? Did you like it? I go, you know what? It just got a little too raunchy for me. No, actually, I didn't. I didn't enjoy it at all. It ruined the whole thing for me. You know, that's what happened to the guy who makes the transformation. Okay, now please listen. Does that ever mean that I don't see someone and go, oh, it happens? Okay, and most of the time that's because I may be drained, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, stop, this is not good, what's going on? Okay, because none of us are perfect. All right, hey, see how she's changed over the years, you won't believe her. You know, do I want to maybe click on that thing? Yeah, not worth it. Not worth clicking on it. Stop. So anyway, again, to answer your question, you can feel safe, but it depends on him and what his commitment is to your safety.
And I'm going to take a little different tact on this, because I think I know lots of betrayed partners who are safe within themselves and their support, even if he's, you know, what he's doing or not doing. So their relationship with their partner may not be trustworthy, but they feel safe because they are taking care of themselves. They've got their healthy boundaries for their safety, their physical safety, emotional safety, financial safety, spiritual safety in place. So they're less rocked by what, you know, he's doing or not doing. You know, that's his journey. So
But haven't they disconnected from from their partner somewhat, though, right?
I think they're able to, like, it's not that person and their addiction is, you know, like the forefront of all of my life. I don't have to pay, you know, microscopic attention to that person. It's like, I'm taking care of me. And, you know, if we have the, you know, if he's in a place where we can talk about, you know, it seems like you're, you know, a little more stressed out today or whatever. You know, my husband has, bless his heart, you know, said, you know, have you considered going to a meeting? I mean, and he loves me and I know that. So I didn't bite his head off, you know, like, or he'll say, do you want to go for a run before we talk about that? He loves me. I'll take that, you know, from him. So we have that. It's like, I think I do, you know, and, you know, or like I can just go say, I'm restless, irritable, and discontent. And just voicing that and go, oh yeah, I'm going to go to a meeting and I'll, you know, like there's things I can do. But on the other hand, there are lots of people who are living with an active addict and they are safe because they are taking care of themselves and they've got their support team, you know, and sometimes it's like financially, I can't move out. There's lots of life stuff, but that doesn't mean that they are forever unsafe. They find their safety. They take care of themselves. You know, we were talking about the hula hoop. I was reminded that I only have control of what is in a hula hoop. If I'm standing in and it's a 1-person hula hoop, it's not a 2-person hula hoop. So I, you know, that's all I have control of. And you know, I can create my safety. I can create my safe network. So it isn't, oh, he's not doing his recovery work, I'll never be safe.
Right.
You can find safety, but he may not be a safe person within that system for you. So that's just my thought.
Okay. 7 questions, 7 minutes.
Okay. All right. So the next one, do we truly recover?
I assume that's from an person.
Addict.
Right, the addict, and my answer is no. What we do is we learn to manage our addictive brain. Okay, addictive brain is not being cured. It's there, but you can do an excellent job in managing it by what is it that you're feeding it and what are you not feeding it. And again, being diligent, having some sort of recovery part of your life, the rest of your life, doing the other things that bring, again, taking care of yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So again, you could do a wonderful job of, again, I learned to manage it.
And I say I'm in recovery, not that I've recovered. So that's my.
Right.
Okay, next question. Hi, Dr. Eddie. I've been in recovery near 3 years. I see my wife feel more triggered and angry, somewhat aggressive towards me. I do see she feels threatened by me somehow. I feel I feel I have to protect myself and shut down with her. And now we are not talking for a week. I'm still working my recovery and I try to do the best I can and stay sober by going to meetings and reaching out. What to do in this case generically?
Well, again, we'll go back to what you said before. I'm seeing her being triggered and angry and aggressive toward me. And I believe that she's threatened by me somehow. You need to understand what the answer to that question is. Why is she feeling threatened? Again, she doesn't feel safe. What is it that's threatening her? And she may say, there's something about you right now that's giving me this sense, this gut, that you're acting out again. And you're sitting and saying, no, I'm not. But yet, what happened when they tell you that gut is telling me you're acting out? They're seeing behaviors in you that you had before, that you were exhibiting when you were acting out. And that's what they're seeing. So I think here, when she's not triggered, to sit down and talk with her to say, look, I know things have been really bad, because not talking to each other for a week is not helping the situation at all. In fact, it's making it so much more worse, because you guys are just continuing to drift apart. You need to go walk into that fire and to say, hey, I need to understand why you've been so triggered lately, why you've been so angry and aggressive. What am I not doing to provide safety for you?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's lack of communication, the stuff that's going on in both of your heads, and the justification is not going to help either of you. Okay, my wife and I are doing Thanos check-in every morning, and we started telling each other what we appreciate about what each other did the evening to end the day on a hopeful note with gratitude. What is your opinion of this?
I think it's great,
I do
especially
too.
the whole idea of the gratitude. It's huge. I mean, because again, yes, I understand your lives they feel like they're in shambles. They feel like they're in shambles. But you have so many things that you can be grateful for. So many things that you can be grateful for. And that's why I talk with people, and a lot of other people do too. Start writing that gratitude list. The fact that, hey, just get what? I got all my extremities. I got my eyes, I got my ears, still have my brain is functioning. I mean, you start there and you just keep walking through it all. I can go out and I can observe nature. I can look at beauty. I can do all this. I have a pet. I have whatever it is. Start writing that all down. No, please don't stop. Don't stop. Keep doing that. Wonderful.
Yeah, I was like, wow, what a nice way to start the day and, be on a positive note. So I love it. You're probably even looking for ways that you can do something at the end of the day to be on that list. Great.
Yes.
Okay. I am new to the 12 steps as the spouse of an SA who is also a retired veteran. So the undoing is complicated with PTSD, et cetera. Any quick and easy couples inventory we can do each day?
Well, the one they just talked about, the Thanos, FANOS. All right. That's a good one that they could look at. Tammy, what do you think about?
I will look that up and I'll put it in the chat because I've got that handy. That is one. Debbie McRae has talked about fine, and I can't remember all of that. It's on a webinar. So email me, Tammy, TAMI at seekingintegrity.com if you want information on that. But yeah, those are safe places to have 2 minutes each, for each of you to connect, but with some structure. It's just guidelines. So, okay, next question. My essay husband goes to one essay group every week, sometimes, and sees a CSAT once every 2 weeks. He does not do any of the homework his CSAT tells him to do, and hardly any step work. He is up to step 4 after 3 years. He does not speak to his sponsor or fellows more than once every few weeks. His behaviors are changing very slowly, but I don't feel safe to trust his recovery because he is not following the process his CSAT recommends or my CSAT says he should be doing. Should I be more open to him doing recovery this way, his way?
How
No.
can you be more open to him doing recovery his way when you don't feel safe with what he's doing? It's not going to work. And Tammy just put that link out there for you folks. That's not going to work. He needs to understand. And again, what I'm seeing, what you're describing, someone very inwardly focused about what he wants or what he doesn't want. Don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do this. And instead, where is it that he's looking outward to say, what do you need from me? And yes, I will do that. So again, it's the idea of sacrifice. Now, I know what we could flip this conversation because I know if I talk to him, he'd be saying to me, you don't understand. I was doing all this work before I did everything, and it wasn't enough for her. She still wanted me to do more and just blah, 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 and I just shut it down. Okay, that's what I've seen on the other side. Again, I think you guys need to get into front of a couple therapists to talk about, hey, what is the right mix for him and for you so that he's doing some work and two, you are feeling safe. But for some reason, it may be very passive aggressive. I don't know what it is. He is not putting in that commitment.
And I'm not bashing his CSAT, so hear me clearly on this, but Dr. Rob would be going, why are you here if you're not willing to do the homework? I can't help you. And he would even be going, you made a commitment to me to do the homework. I can imagine how your spouse feels when you say you're going to do something and then you don't do that. I mean, so it feels to me like there isn't a level of accountability across any of this.
I would have discharged them.
I was, Dr. Rob would too. So,
I would have done it.
Yeah.
You're not going to do your homework, and why are you here? You're wasting your time, wasting my time, and I could put somebody else in here who will be more motivated to change.
So I'm going to quick say healthy boundaries for you. So hopefully your therapist has really helped you with healthy boundaries, and steps 4 through 9 are where we clean house. That's where we get the freedom from all of this stuff. So he's straddling the fence. It is the worst place to be in, is not doing the recovery work and not acting out, because you don't have, so he's choosing that, but you don't have to. So what do you need to do for your healthy boundaries so that you are safe? Don't accept what he's saying. That's a miserable place to be. So, okay. One more question, Dr. Eddie. I'm naturally a forgiving person and try to move on from uncomfortable situations. I'm struggling internally about being able to ever truly forgive this behavior, and also the forgiveness itself, if it ever comes. My inner child is telling me that the forgiveness equals admitting the behavior was acceptable. Does this forgiveness lessen my worth by accepting the behavior?
That is a very common thought that many women have, or I'm sorry, again, I say women because I deal with men, that the betrayed have. If I forgive, he gets this impression that everything's good and that I think the behavior was acceptable. Again, that's in your mind, that you have to take that thought and you have to be able to shift it and change it. Okay, that it's not this. And this conversation you need to have with him also. But the bigger thing is, if he's doing his work, do you ultimately feel safer with him? Because if that's the case, then you're working with your therapist or coach on forgiveness. Okay, and forgiveness may be, and forgiveness is more than one and done. maybe every day. You have to get up every morning and forgive him so that you can move forward with that. But do not buy into the lie that if I forgive, that means I've accepted and I condone the behavior. That is not true at all.
Yeah, forgiveness is for me. I'm not letting that take my mental energy and create hurt within me. It really has nothing to do. There's a number of people that I have forgiven that don't even know they were on my needed to
Right.
be forgiven list. You know, it really is for me, and it's in my time. It's my journey, you know, and it does take some time, you know. So I put in the chat. Dr. Rob did a podcast, I think a 2-part series with somebody, and I think it was Jessica Higgins, but don't quote me on that, on forgiveness. So that may be useful. Dr. Eddie's on the podcast as well. That's had over 1.3 million downloads on that series. So I would invite you. There's lots of great content there. So, okay, we're out of time. Thank you, Dr. Eddie. That was great. Thank you all for the great questions too. And I will look forward to seeing your graphs and drawings next month.
Very good. All right. Goodbye.
Thank
Everybody.
you. Bye.